Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to Grandma's Tales. Here, we share stories of strength, hope, and healing, stories that will touch your heart and stay with you long after the last word is spoken. I invite you to sit back, relax, and let these gentle stories wash over you. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment where you're listening from. I'd love to hear from you. Now, my dear ones, let me take you on a journey. Let's begin our story together.
My name is Grandma Lucy, and today I want to tell you a story about a young girl named Lily. It's not an easy story to tell, and it's not easy to hear, but it's a story that must be told. I always say, the truth can hurt, but it also heals. So come closer, my dear, and listen to my tale. Lily was a sweet girl with a kind heart. She loved to read books and draw pretty pictures. She lived in a small house in a quiet neighborhood. But Lily's life was not as peaceful as her drawings. Her father, Mr. Daniels, was a hard man. He worked long hours at the factory, and when he came home, he was always tired and angry. Lily's mother, Grace, was gentle and quiet. She tried to keep the house tidy and the meals warm, but it was never enough for Mr. Daniels. He would shout and slam doors, and sometimes, he would leave the house for days without saying where he was going. One day, everything changed. Lily's mother died. She had been sick for a long time, and her body was too tired to keep fighting. Lily was only 12 years old when she lost her mother. I remember the day she came to visit me after the funeral. Her eyes were red from crying, and she held on to my hand so tightly. "Grandma, what will happen to me now?" she whispered. I hugged her close and said, "You will always have me, my sweet girl. I will always be here for you." But things got harder for Lily. A year after her mother died, her father married again. Her new stepmother's name was Nancy, and she had a son named Kevin, who was 15. At first, Lily was hopeful. She thought maybe Nancy would be like a second mother. But Nancy was cold and strict. She cared more about Kevin than about Lily. She would make Lily clean the house from top to bottom while Kevin played video games and watched TV. "Kevin is a boy," Nancy would say. "Boys don't do chores." Lily didn't argue. She tried her best to be good. She swept the floors, washed the dishes, and did her homework late at night when everyone was asleep. She missed her mother's gentle smile and soft voice. The house was always quiet, but it was not peaceful. It was lonely. Kevin was different from the beginning. He would look at Lily in ways that made her uncomfortable. Sometimes he would follow her around the house, watching her with a strange look in his eyes. Other times, he would whisper things to her that made her heart race and her stomach hurt. One day, Lily was sitting in the living room reading a book when Kevin came in. He sat down next to her on the couch, too close. She could smell the greasy food on his breath. "What are you reading?" he asked, his voice low and mocking. "It's a fairy tale," Lily said softly, trying not to look at him. "Fairy tales are for little girls," Kevin said, smirking. "You're not a little girl anymore, are you?" Lily's hands trembled as she closed the book. "I have to finish my chores," she said quickly, standing up to leave. Kevin grabbed her wrist and held her tight. "Don't run away from me," he whispered. Lily pulled her hand free and ran to her room. She locked the door and sat on her bed, hugging her knees to her chest. She didn't tell her father or Nancy. She was too scared. She thought maybe if she just stayed away from Kevin, it would stop. But it didn't stop. Every day, Kevin found new ways to make her feel small and afraid. He would touch her hair when he walked by. He would stand too close in the hallway. He would call her names that made her want to hide. Lily tried to tell her father once. She waited until he came home from work, his face tired and his eyes hard. "Daddy," she said, her voice shaking. He's making me feel scared." Mr. Daniels didn't even look at her. "Stop making trouble, Lily," he said sharply. "Kevin is your brother now. You need to get along." Lily's heart sank. She wanted to shout, "He's not my real brother." He's not. But she knew it wouldn't matter. So she stayed silent. I remember the day she came to visit me again. She sat at my kitchen table, her hands folded in her lap. "Grandma," she said softly. "Why is the world so cruel?" I looked into her eyes and saw the pain she was trying so hard to hide. I took her hands in mine and said, "My dear, the world can be cruel. But you are strong. And you are never alone." She smiled a little, but it didn't reach her eyes. After that visit, I tried to see her more often. I would call her on the phone and tell her stories from when I was a girl. I told her how I used to dance in the fields and sing songs with my sisters. I told her how I learned to sew and bake bread. I wanted her to know that life could still be sweet, even when it felt bitter. But I couldn't be there every day. And at home, things kept getting worse. One evening, Lily was washing the dishes when Kevin came into the kitchen. Nancy was out shopping, and Mr. Daniels was still at work. Kevin leaned against the counter, watching her. "You look pretty today," he said. Lily didn't answer. She kept scrubbing the plate in her hands, her fingers raw from the hot water. "Why don't you talk to me?" Kevin asked, stepping closer. "I'm busy," Lily said softly. He reached out and touched her shoulder. "Don't lie to me," he said. Lily pulled away, but he grabbed her arm and twisted it hard. She bit her lip to keep from crying out. "Don't you ever ignore me again," Kevin hissed. When she finished the dishes, she ran to her room and locked the door. She sat on the floor, her back against the door, and cried. She felt so small, so alone. She wanted to tell someone, anyone, but she didn't know who would believe her. The days turned into weeks, and Lily felt like she was disappearing. She went to school, but she couldn't focus. Her teachers asked her why she looked so tired, but she just smiled and said she was fine. At night, she would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if things would ever get better. One night, she had a dream. She was standing in a beautiful garden, with flowers all around her. The sun was warm on her face, and she could hear birds singing. In the dream, her mother was there, smiling at her. "Lily," her mother said softly, "you are brave. You are strong. Don't ever forget that." When she woke up, she felt a little braver. She tried to hold on to her mother's words like a shield. But even the bravest heart can be broken. One afternoon, Lily was home alone. She was sitting in her room, trying to read, when Kevin came in without knocking. He closed the door behind him and locked it. Lily's heart raced. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice trembling. Kevin didn't answer. He walked over to her and grabbed her by the shoulders. "Stop it," she cried, pushing him away. But he was stronger. He pushed her down onto the bed and covered her mouth with his hand. "I won't tell you every detail of what happened that day, my dear. Some things are too painful to speak out loud. But know this, Lily's world was shattered. In that moment, she felt like a piece of her soul was stolen, and she didn't know how to get it back." When it was over, Kevin left the room without a word. Lily lay on the bed, her body shaking. She felt so dirty, so ashamed. She wanted to wash away what had happened, but she couldn't. That night, she didn't sleep. She lay in the dark, listening to the sound of the wind outside her window. She wondered if anyone would ever see her pain, if anyone would ever believe her. "I want you to know, my dear, that Lily was just a child. She didn't ask for any of this. She didn't deserve it. No one does." As I tell you this story, I remember how she used to smile when she was little, how she would twirl in the kitchen and sing songs. I remember how bright her eyes were when she talked about the books she loved. That little girl is still there, somewhere deep inside her. In this chapter, we see the first cracks in Lily's world. We see the weight of her silence and the darkness that was growing around her. But I promise you, my dear, this is not where the story ends. There is more to come, more pain, yes, but also more strength, more hope. So listen closely, and remember, even in the darkest nights, there is a light that never goes out. Lily sat in her room, the door locked tight. She didn't want to see anyone, not even Nancy or Mr. Daniels. She didn't want to see Kevin. She didn't want to see herself in the mirror, because every time she did, she felt like she was looking at a stranger. She felt like her skin was too tight, like she couldn't breathe. She wanted to scrub herself clean, to wash away the memory of Kevin's hands, but no matter how hard she scrubbed, she still felt dirty. At night, she lay awake and listened to the house creak and sigh in the darkness. She could hear Nancy's laughter downstairs, and sometimes she could hear Mr. Daniels snoring. But she couldn't hear her mother's voice anymore, and that hurt more than anything. When Lily went to school the next day, she kept her head down. She didn't want anyone to see her red eyes or the bruises on her arms. She didn't want to answer any questions. Her best friend, Emma, noticed something was wrong. Emma was a sweet girl with curly brown hair and a smile that could light up a room. "Lily, are you okay?" she asked softly at lunch. Lily forced a smile. "I'm fine." Emma frowned. "You don't look fine." "I'm just tired," Lily said quickly. "I didn't sleep well." Emma reached out and squeezed her hand. "If you ever need to talk, I'm here." Lily nodded, but she didn't say anything. She was too scared to tell the truth. She was scared that if she said the words out loud, they would become real in a way that she couldn't handle. After school, Lily went straight home. She didn't want to be around her friends, or even at the library where she used to spend hours lost in fairy tales. She wanted to be alone. When she walked in the door, Nancy was waiting for her. "Where have you been?" Nancy snapped. "School," Lily said softly. Nancy's eyes narrowed. "You're always late. You're just like your mother, always making excuses." Lily didn't answer. She hung her backpack on the hook and went to her room. In the evenings, Lily would sit on her bed and stare out the window. She would watch the cars drive by, their headlights glowing in the darkness. Sometimes she would see families walking together, mothers holding their children's hands, fathers carrying babies on their shoulders. It made her heart ache. She wondered what it would feel like to be safe again, to have someone who cared enough to protect her. She wondered if she would ever feel that way again. One night, Lily was lying in bed when she heard footsteps in the hallway. Her whole body went stiff. She knew those footsteps. She knew that slow, heavy sound. Kevin. She heard him stop outside her door. She held her breath, praying that he would just keep walking. But then she heard the doorknob turn. The door was locked, and Kevin rattled it once, then twice. "Lily," he whispered through the door. "Let me in." She didn't move. She didn't make a sound. "Lily," he said again, his voice low and sweet like poison. "Open the door." She squeezed her eyes shut and prayed. "Please go away. Please don't come in." Finally, he stopped. She heard him walk away, and she let out a long, shuddering breath. She didn't sleep at all that night. She just lay there in the dark, her heart pounding. The next day at school, she felt like she was floating through a fog. She couldn't focus on the words in her books. She couldn't hear what the teachers were saying. All she could think about was that voice in the hallway, calling her name. At lunch, Emma sat down next to her again. "Lily, you're scaring me," she said quietly. "You're not yourself. What's going on?" Lily looked at her friend and felt tears fill her eyes. She wanted to tell her. She wanted to pour out every horrible detail and let Emma carry some of the weight. But the words wouldn't come. She felt like if she said them, she would break into 1,000 pieces. "I'm just tired," she said again. Emma didn't believe her, but she didn't push. She just held her hand and sat there in silence. That afternoon, Lily went to the library after school. It was the only place she felt safe. The library was warm and quiet, and the smell of old books wrapped around her like a blanket. She sat in a corner and read fairy tales, stories of brave girls who fought dragons and found happy endings. She wanted to be like them. She wanted to believe that someday she could escape this nightmare. As she sat there, an older woman who worked at the library came over. Her name was Mrs. Thompson, and she always wore a bright scarf around her neck. "Lily, are you okay?" Mrs. Thompson asked gently. Lily looked up, startled. "I'm fine." Mrs. Thompson smiled kindly. "You know, if you ever need to talk, I'm a good listener." Lily nodded, but she didn't say anything. When she got home that evening, she found Nancy in the kitchen. Nancy was cooking dinner, and the smell of burnt meat filled the room. "Where were you?" Nancy demanded. "I was at the library," Lily said quietly. Nancy's eyes narrowed. "You're always running away. You think you're too good for this family, don't you?" "No, ma'am," Lily said quickly. Nancy slammed a pot down on the counter. "You're just like your mother, always dreaming, always thinking you're better than everyone else." Lily didn't say anything. She just went to her room and closed the door. That night, she sat at her desk and took out her journal. She had started writing in it after her mother died. It was the only place she could put her feelings into words. She wrote, "Dear Mom, I wish you were here. I don't know what to do. I feel so scared all the time. Kevin, he hurts me. He says things that make my skin crawl. I don't know how to make him stop. I miss you so much. I feel like I'm drowning. Please, Mom, give me a sign that things will get better." She closed the journal and hugged it to her chest. She wished she could talk to her mother, even if it was just for a moment. The days kept passing, and Lily kept her pain locked inside. She smiled when she was supposed to smile. She said "I'm fine" when people asked. But inside, she felt like she was fading away. One morning, she woke up feeling sick. Her stomach was twisting in knots, and she ran to the bathroom to throw up. She thought maybe she had caught a stomach bug. But as the days went on, the sickness didn't go away. She started to feel tired all the time. Her clothes felt tight around her waist. She was scared, but she didn't want to believe what her body was telling her. One night, she sat on her bed and counted the days in her head. Her heart pounded as she realized the truth. She was late, so late she couldn't pretend it was normal. She was pregnant. The word echoed in her mind like a curse. Pregnant. She was only 13. She was just a child, and now she was going to have a child of her own. She curled up on her bed and cried until she couldn't breathe. She felt like the walls were closing in on her, like there was no way out. She wanted to tell someone, but who could she tell? Her father wouldn't believe her. Nancy would blame her. Kevin would just smirk and say it was her fault. She thought about going to the school nurse, but the idea of saying the words out loud made her feel sick. She didn't want anyone to look at her like she was broken. So she stayed silent. She wore baggy sweaters and walked with her head down. She stopped eating lunch at school because she was too sick to keep food down. Emma kept asking if she was okay, but Lily just said she was tired. One day after school, she went to the library again. She sat in her corner and tried to read, but the words on the page didn't make sense. She felt like she was underwater, drowning in secrets she couldn't tell. Mrs. Thompson noticed her sitting there, pale and shaky. "Lily, are you sure you're okay?" she asked softly. Lily looked up at her with tears in her eyes. She wanted to say, "No, I'm not okay. I'm falling apart." But all she could do was nod. Mrs. Thompson put a hand on her shoulder. "If you ever need help, there are people who care about you." Lily felt a flicker of hope, but it was so small she was afraid to trust it. That night, she went home and lay in bed, her hands resting on her stomach. She didn't know how far along she was. She didn't even want to think about it. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Mom, please help me." And somewhere deep inside, she thought she felt a whisper back, soft and warm, like a hug. You are strong, Lily. You will survive this. But Lily didn't feel strong. She felt like she was breaking apart, piece by piece. As she drifted off to sleep, she thought about the fairy tales she used to read. In those stories, the princess was always saved by a prince. But Lily knew there was no prince coming to save her. She would have to save herself. Days turned into weeks, and Lily's secret grew like a storm inside her. She tried to hide it, to pretend nothing had changed, but every morning she woke up and felt the difference in her body. Her stomach was growing rounder, and her chest was tender and sore. She felt tired all the time, like she was carrying a weight she couldn't put down. At school, she wore big sweaters and kept her head down. She tried to act normal, but inside she was panicking. She didn't know what to do or who to turn to. One afternoon, she was sitting in class when she felt a sudden wave of dizziness. The room spun around her, and her pencil slipped from her fingers. She grabbed the edge of her desk and took a deep breath. The teacher, Mrs. Smith, noticed her pale face. "Lily, are you feeling okay?" Lily nodded quickly. "I'm fine." But Mrs. Smith didn't look convinced. "Do you need to go to the nurse?" Lily shook her head. "No, thank you." She didn't want anyone to know. She was terrified that if someone found out, they would take her away, or worse, they would blame her for everything. After school, Emma caught up with her in the hallway. "Lily, I'm really worried about you," Emma said. "You're so pale, and you're always tired. Please tell me what's going on." Lily forced a smile. "I'm okay. I promise." Emma didn't believe her, but she didn't push. She just gave her a sad smile and said, "I'm here if you need me." Lily nodded, but she didn't say anything more. She was too scared to let the words out. She was too scared to see the pity or the horror in Emma's eyes. At home, things were getting worse. Kevin was more careful now, he didn't come to her room anymore. But every time he looked at her, she could see the smug smile on his face. He knew. He knew what he had done, and he wasn't sorry. Nancy was busy with her job at the diner. She didn't notice that Lily was skipping meals or that her clothes didn't fit right anymore. She didn't see the way Lily flinched when Kevin walked into the room. One evening, Lily was standing in front of the bathroom mirror. She lifted her sweater and stared at her reflection. Her belly was small, but it was there, a little swell that hadn't been there before. She pressed her hand against it and whispered, "What am I going to do?" She was only 13. She didn't know how to be a mother. She didn't even know how to take care of herself. She sat down on the edge of the bathtub and cried. She cried for the girl she used to be, the girl who loved fairy tales and believed in happy endings. That girl was gone now, replaced by someone who felt old and tired and afraid. She thought about running away. She thought about packing a bag and slipping out the window in the middle of the night. But where would she go? She had no money, no family, no one to trust. One night, she lay awake in bed and whispered to the baby inside her. "I don't know how to do this," she said softly. "But I promise I'll try. I'll try to protect you, even if no one protected me." She didn't know if the baby could hear her, but it made her feel a little less alone. At school, the teachers started to notice that something was wrong. Mrs. Smith asked her to stay after class one day. "Lily, I'm worried about you," she said gently. "You're not yourself lately. Are you sick? Is something going on at home?" Lily stared at the floor. She wanted to tell her, but the words were trapped in her throat. If she said it out loud, she was afraid everything would fall apart. "I'm okay," she whispered. Mrs. Smith reached out and touched her shoulder. "If you ever need to talk, I'm here. I promise I won't tell anyone unless you want me to." Lily nodded, but she didn't say anything more. She was too scared to trust anyone. One day, Lily was in the library, trying to lose herself in a book. But the words on the page didn't make sense. Her mind was too full of fear and worry. Mrs. Thompson noticed her sitting there with tears in her eyes. "Lily, dear, are you feeling all right?" she asked kindly. Lily looked up and felt the tears spill over. She tried to wipe them away, but Mrs. Thompson put a comforting hand on her shoulder. "It's okay to cry," she said softly. Lily wanted to tell her everything. She wanted to pour out all the pain and fear she had been carrying. But she couldn't. She just sat there and cried. Mrs. Thompson handed her a tissue. "You're a brave girl, Lily. Don't ever forget that." Lily nodded, even though she didn't feel brave at all. At home, she started avoiding Kevin as much as she could. She would stay in her room with the door locked, or she would go for long walks around the neighborhood, even when it was cold outside. One chilly afternoon, she walked to the park and sat on a bench, watching the leaves fall from the trees. She wrapped her arms around her belly and closed her eyes. She thought about her mother. About the way her mother used to sing to her when she was little. She wished her mother was there to hold her and tell her everything would be okay. She whispered, "I miss you, Mom. I need you now more than ever." The wind rustled the leaves, and for a moment, Lily felt like her mother was there, watching over her. She held on to that feeling as tightly as she could. As the days went on, it became harder to hide her growing belly. Her sweaters couldn't hide the shape anymore. She started wearing coats inside, even when it was warm, just to keep anyone from seeing. One morning, Nancy noticed. "Why are you wearing that coat in the house?" Nancy asked sharply. Lily shrugged. "I'm cold." Nancy narrowed her eyes. "You're always cold. What's wrong with you?" "Nothing," Lily said quickly. Nancy didn't push, but she watched Lily more closely after that. Lily felt like she was walking on a tightrope, trying to keep her secret hidden. One night, Lily was in the bathroom, brushing her teeth, when she looked in the mirror and saw the truth. She couldn't pretend anymore. She was going to have a baby. She sat down on the floor and wrapped her arms around her knees. "I'm scared," she whispered. She didn't know how to be a mother. She didn't even know how to tell anyone the truth. The next morning, she woke up feeling sick again. She lay in bed with her hand on her stomach, trying to calm the panic in her chest. She thought about what would happen if Nancy found out. Nancy would be furious. She would blame Lily for everything. And Kevin would just smile that cruel smile. She didn't know what to do. At school, Emma noticed that Lily was wearing the same coat every day. "Lily, why are you always wearing that coat?" Emma asked gently. Lily looked away. "I'm just cold." Emma shook her head. "Lily, please. You can trust me. You're my best friend." Lily felt the tears start to build in her eyes. She wanted to tell Emma everything, but she was so scared. "I can't," she whispered. Emma reached out and took her hand. "I don't know what's going on, but I love you. I'm here for you, no matter what." Lily nodded, but the words still wouldn't come. She was trapped in her own silence, too scared to speak the truth. At home that night, she went to bed early. She lay in the dark, listening to the sounds of the house, the creak of the stairs, the soft hum of the refrigerator. She closed her eyes and whispered to the baby inside her. "I don't know how to do this," she said. "But I promise I'll find a way. I promise I'll protect you." For the first time in a long time, she felt a tiny spark of hope. She didn't know how, but she knew she had to be strong, for herself and for the baby. She didn't have all the answers, but she had a promise in her heart: she wouldn't let the darkness win. She would find a way to keep going, even when everything felt impossible. Winter turned the streets cold and gray, and Lily felt even more alone. Every day felt like a mountain she had to climb, and she was so tired. At night, she lay awake listening to the wind outside her window, feeling like it was calling out to her. She wanted to run away, to leave everything behind. But she had nowhere to go. One cold afternoon, she walked home from school with Emma. Emma talked about the Christmas dance and how excited she was to go. "You're coming too, right?" Emma asked with a bright smile. Lily shook her head. I don't think so. Why not? Emma asked, frowning. I don't feel up to it, Lily said. Emma squeezed her hand. Okay. But if you change your mind, you know I'll be there. Lily smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She felt like there was a wall between her and everyone else, a wall that no one could see. When she got home, Nancy was in the kitchen, baking cookies. The sweet smell of sugar and cinnamon filled the air. Hey, Lily, Nancy said. Do you want to help? Lily shook her head. I have homework. Nancy sighed. You've been acting so strange lately. Is there something you're not telling me? Lily froze. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. She could feel the truth pressing against her lips, but she swallowed it down. I'm just tired, she said finally. Nancy looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay. But if you need to talk, I'm here. Lily nodded quickly and went to her room. She closed the door and sat on her bed, hugging her knees to her chest. Her heart was pounding. She knew she couldn't hide much longer. Her belly was getting bigger, and soon everyone would see. She tried to do her homework, but the words blurred on the page. She kept thinking about what would happen when Nancy found out. Would she scream? Would she throw her out? Would she believe her if she told her the truth about Kevin? The thought made her sick. She lay down and pressed her hands over her stomach. Please, just let me keep you safe, she whispered. A few days later, she woke up feeling dizzy again. She stumbled into the bathroom and threw up. She leaned against the sink, breathing hard. Her face was pale and sweaty in the mirror. She knew she had to do something. She couldn't keep pretending everything was normal. At school, she pulled Emma aside. Emma, she said softly. I need to tell you something. Emma looked worried. What is it? Lily looked around to make sure no one was listening. Promise you won't tell anyone? I promise, Emma said. Lily took a deep breath. I think I'm pregnant. Emma's eyes went wide. Oh, Lily. Tears filled Lily's eyes. I don't know what to do. I'm so scared. Emma hugged her tightly. It's going to be okay. We'll figure it out together. Lily felt a weight lift off her shoulders. For the first time, she wasn't alone with her secret. Who's the father? Emma asked gently. Lily hesitated. She didn't want to say it, but she knew she couldn't lie to Emma. It's Kevin, she whispered. Emma pulled back, her face pale. Your stepbrother? Lily nodded, tears streaming down her face. He forced me. I didn't want it. I swear, I didn't. Emma hugged her again. Oh, Lily. I'm so sorry. They sat together in the empty classroom, holding each other. For the first time, Lily felt like she could breathe again. We need to tell someone, Emma said quietly. Lily shook her head. No. If Nancy finds out, she'll hate me. She'll blame me. Emma looked at her sadly. Lily, this isn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. Lily wiped her tears. I know. But I can't tell her. Not yet. Emma nodded. Okay. I'll be here for you. No matter what. That night, Lily lay in bed and thought about Emma's words. She felt a tiny spark of hope. Maybe she wasn't completely alone. Maybe she could find a way through this. But the next morning, things fell apart. She was in the kitchen making toast when Nancy walked in. Nancy's eyes went to Lily's stomach, and Lily saw the moment she realized. What's going on? Nancy said sharply. Why is your belly? Lily, are you pregnant? Lily's hands shook. Nancy, Answer me. Nancy shouted. Lily burst into tears. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to tell you. Nancy's face turned red with anger. Who did this to you? Lily opened her mouth, but Kevin walked in at that moment. He looked at her with that smug smile, and Lily felt sick. Nancy turned to Kevin. Did you know about this? Kevin shrugged. Maybe she's been sneaking around. Who knows? Lily shook her head. No. It was him. Kevin did this to me. Nancy's face went white. What are you talking about? He forced me, Lily sobbed. He's the father. Kevin laughed. She's lying. She's making it up. Nancy looked between them, her eyes wild. Lily, is this true? Lily nodded, tears streaming down her face. I swear, Nancy. I didn't want this. He forced me. Nancy stared at Kevin. Is this true? Kevin shrugged again. She's just trying to ruin my life because she's ashamed. Nancy turned back to Lily. You're lying, she whispered. You're trying to break up this family. Lily felt like she couldn't breathe. No, Nancy. I'm telling the truth. But Nancy's face was cold and hard. I don't want to hear any more lies. Go to your room. Lily's heart shattered. She turned and ran to her room, slamming the door behind her. She collapsed on the bed, sobbing. She had hoped that Nancy would believe her, that she would protect her. But instead, she was alone again. That night, she lay awake listening to the sounds of the house. She heard Nancy and Kevin arguing downstairs. She couldn't hear the words, but she knew it was about her. The next morning, Nancy wouldn't look at her. She put breakfast on the table without a word and walked away. Kevin sat across from her, a smirk on his face. Looks like you're in trouble, he said softly. Lily didn't answer. She pushed her food around her plate and stared at the floor. At school, Emma pulled her aside. How did it go? She asked. Lily shook her head. She doesn't believe me. She thinks I'm lying. Emma hugged her. I'm so sorry, Lily. You don't deserve this. Lily felt so tired. She wanted to close her eyes and never wake up. But she knew she couldn't. She had to keep going. For the baby. For herself. A few days later, Nancy called her into the living room. We're going to the doctor, Nancy said coldly. We'll see what he says about all this. Lily's stomach twisted with fear. She didn't know what would happen at the doctor's office. But she nodded and went to get her coat. At the clinic, the doctor examined her and confirmed what Lily already knew: she was pregnant, about 4 months along. Nancy sat stiffly in the chair, her lips pressed into a thin line. Do you want to tell me who the father is? The doctor asked gently. Lily looked at the floor. My stepbrother, she whispered. Nancy's face turned red. She's lying, she said quickly. She's just trying to cause trouble. The doctor looked at Lily kindly. You're very brave for telling the truth, he said softly. You don't have to be scared anymore. But Lily was scared. She was scared of what would happen when they went home. After the appointment, Nancy didn't say a word in the car. She stared straight ahead, her hands gripping the wheel so tightly her knuckles were white. When they got home, Nancy turned to her in the driveway. You're going to stay in your room until I figure out what to do with you, she said coldly. Do you understand? Lily nodded, her eyes filled with tears. She went to her room and closed the door. She lay down on the bed and held her belly. I'll protect you, she whispered. No matter what. But she didn't know how. Lily spent the next few days locked in her room. Nancy barely spoke to her. She would leave food at the door and walk away without a word. It felt like Lily was in a prison, alone with her growing belly and her thoughts. Kevin still acted like nothing was wrong. Sometimes she heard him laughing in the living room, and it made her stomach turn. She didn't know how he could be so calm when he had done such a horrible thing. At night, Lily lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She thought about her baby and how she had to protect it. She knew she couldn't stay in that house anymore. She didn't trust Nancy to help her. She didn't trust Kevin. She had to leave. But she was scared. She had no money and nowhere to go. She didn't even know how to get out of town. One night, Emma called her. "Lily, are you okay?" Emma asked softly. "I'm so scared," Lily whispered. "Nancy won't talk to me. She thinks I'm lying. And Kevin, he's just acting like he didn't do anything." "Oh, Lily," Emma said. "You can't stay there. You have to leave." "I know," Lily said. "But where would I go? I have no money." "I'll help you," Emma said firmly. "I have some savings. My aunt lives in another town. I'm sure she'd let you stay for a while." Lily felt tears in her eyes. "You'd do that for me?" "Of course," Emma said. "You're my best friend. I'm not going to let you go through this alone." For the first time in weeks, Lily felt a flicker of hope. Maybe she could escape. Maybe there was a future for her and her baby. The next day, she waited until Nancy left for work. She sneaked out of her room and went to the library. She used the computers there to look up bus schedules. She found out there was a bus leaving for Emma's aunt's town in 2 days. It would take a few hours, but it was her best chance. She went home quickly and hid the information in her notebook. She knew she had to be careful. If Nancy or Kevin found out, they would stop her. That night, she called Emma again. "I found a bus," Lily said. "It leaves in 2 days." "Good," Emma said. "I'll come with you to the station. I'll make sure you get on that bus." Lily felt her heart swell with gratitude. "Thank you, Emma." The next day, Lily packed a small bag. She put in some clothes, her toothbrush, and the little baby blanket she had bought at a second-hand store. She hid the bag under her bed. She was scared, but she knew this was her only chance. The night before she planned to leave, Kevin came into her room. She sat up quickly, her heart pounding. "What do you want?" she said, her voice shaking. He smiled. "You're so quiet these days. Nancy thinks you're making it all up, you know." "I'm not," Lily said softly. "You know what you did." Kevin shrugged. "It doesn't matter. No one believes you." He stepped closer, and Lily felt her whole body tense up. She wanted to scream, but she knew Nancy wouldn't listen. "You're going to ruin everything," Kevin said, his voice low. "If you leave, I'll find you. You can't hide from me." Lily shook her head. "You're a monster." Kevin laughed. "Maybe. But you're stuck with me, aren't you?" Lily didn't answer. She sat still until he left. Then she locked the door and cried. She knew she had to leave the next day, no matter what. The next morning, Nancy knocked on her door. "I'm going to the store. Do you want anything?" Lily shook her head. "No, thank you." Nancy left without another word. As soon as she was gone, Lily grabbed her bag and ran out of the house. Her heart was racing, and she felt like she couldn't breathe. But she didn't stop. She met Emma at the bus station. Emma had a small suitcase and a determined look on her face. "Are you ready?" Emma asked. Lily nodded. "Let's go." They bought their tickets and waited for the bus. Lily kept looking over her shoulder, terrified that Kevin would show up. But the minutes passed, and he never came. When the bus finally pulled up, Lily felt like she could finally breathe. She hugged Emma tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't know what I'd do without you." "You'll be okay," Emma said, wiping away her own tears. "You're stronger than you think." Lily got on the bus and found a seat by the window. She watched as the town she had grown up in slowly disappeared behind her. She felt a strange mix of fear and hope. She didn't know what would happen next, but she knew she was free. The bus ride felt long. Lily leaned her head against the window and watched the snowy fields pass by. She thought about her baby and how she was going to take care of it. She didn't know how, but she knew she would find a way. When the bus finally pulled into the station in Emma's aunt's town, Lily felt her heart racing. She stepped off the bus and looked around. Everything was new and unfamiliar, but it felt like a fresh start. Emma's aunt, Mrs. Harper, was waiting at the station. She was a kind-looking woman with gray hair and warm eyes. "Lily," she said with a smile. "I've heard a lot about you." Lily felt tears in her eyes. "Thank you for helping me." "Of course, dear," Mrs. Harper said. "Let's get you inside and warm." She took Lily's hand and led her to the car. Emma hugged her one more time. "You're going to be okay," Emma said. Lily nodded. "I hope so." At Mrs. Harper's house, Lily was given a small room with a soft bed and a window that looked out at the snow-covered trees. It felt safe and quiet, like a world away from the nightmare she had left behind. That night, she lay in bed and whispered to her baby, "We're safe now. I promise." But even in that warm room, she knew the fight wasn't over. She would have to find a way to build a new life. She would have to be strong for her baby. And she would. Because she was done letting other people decide her life for her. The next morning, Mrs. Harper made her pancakes for breakfast. "You're welcome to stay as long as you need to," Mrs. Harper said gently. "You're not alone here." Lily smiled. For the first time in a long time, she believed it. Lily woke up to the smell of pancakes and the soft sound of birds outside. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming. But when she opened her eyes, she remembered she was at Mrs. Harper's house. She was safe. She went downstairs, and Mrs. Harper was already setting the table. "Good morning, Lily," Mrs. Harper said with a warm smile. "Did you sleep well?" "Yes, thank you," Lily said shyly. Emma was there too, eating her pancakes. She gave Lily a wink. "You looked so peaceful this morning." "It's good to see you smile." Lily took a seat and started to eat. The food was warm and comforting. It felt like a hug. She didn't realize how much she needed that feeling. After breakfast, Emma and Mrs. Harper showed Lily around the small house. There was a little garden out back, covered in snow. Mrs. Harper promised to show her how to plant flowers in the spring. "You're part of the family now," she said kindly. "This is your home too." Lily felt tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. For the first few days, Lily rested. She took long baths and read old books that Mrs. Harper kept in a wooden shelf. She felt her body start to relax for the first time in months. Emma stayed with her during the day. They would sit by the window and talk about everything but the past. Emma told her about her dreams of becoming a teacher. Lily told her about her love for writing. She hadn't written anything in a long time, but she wanted to try again. At night, Lily still had nightmares. She dreamed about Kevin's face, about Nancy's cold voice. But when she woke up, she reminded herself that she was safe. She was not in that house anymore. She was here, with people who cared about her. One evening, Mrs. Harper knocked on her door. "Lily," she said softly, "I know you're carrying a lot of pain. But talking about it can help. If you ever want to share, I'm here." Lily nodded. She wasn't ready to talk yet. But she was glad to know she could, if she wanted. A week passed, and Lily felt a little stronger every day. She started helping Mrs. Harper around the house, folding laundry and baking bread. She liked the simple tasks. They gave her something to focus on, something to control. One afternoon, Emma took Lily for a walk around the neighborhood. The houses were small and cozy, with smoke rising from chimneys. The snow crunched under their boots. "It's quiet here," Lily said. Emma nodded. "It's peaceful. I thought you'd like it." "I do," Lily said. "I feel like I can breathe here." Emma took her hand. "I know it's hard, Lily. But you're not alone." We're going to get through this together. Lily smiled. Thank you, Emma. I don't know what I'd do without you. As they walked, Lily noticed a small bookstore on the corner. She stopped to look at the window display. There were stories about strong women, mothers, and children. I used to love reading, Lily said softly. Let's go in, Emma said. They pushed open the door, and a little bell chimed. The smell of books and coffee filled the air. The woman at the counter looked up and smiled. Welcome, she said. Let me know if you need help. Lily wandered through the shelves, her fingers brushing the spines of the books. She felt a sense of calm here, surrounded by stories. She found a small notebook and bought it. She wanted to write again, to put her feelings down on paper. Maybe it would help her heal. That night, back at Mrs. Harper's house, Lily opened the notebook. She wrote about the snow, about the quiet, about how it felt to breathe freely again. She didn't write about Kevin. Not yet. But she wrote about hope. She wrote about her baby and how she was going to be the best mother she could. The next morning, Mrs. Harper came into her room with a gentle smile. Lily, would you like to come to church with me today? It's a small service, but it can be comforting. Lily hesitated. She hadn't been to church in years. But something in Mrs. Harper's kind eyes made her nod. The church was small and warm. People greeted her with soft smiles and kind words. Lily felt a little out of place at first, but she listened to the pastor's words about love and forgiveness. She closed her eyes and let the music wash over her. For a moment, she felt like she was floating, safe and warm. After the service, an older woman came up to her. You have a beautiful glow, she said, touching Lily's shoulder. Your baby is blessed. Lily felt tears in her eyes. She had been so scared that people would judge her. But here, she felt like maybe she didn't have to be ashamed. When they got home, Mrs. Harper made hot cocoa. They sat by the fireplace, the crackling logs filling the room with warmth. Lily, Mrs. Harper said gently, you're not just surviving. You're living. That's brave. Lily looked down at her belly. She still felt afraid, but she also felt something else, strength. She was carrying a life inside her. She was going to protect it, no matter what. That night, she wrote in her notebook again. She wrote about the baby's heartbeat, about how she could almost feel it fluttering inside her. She wrote about her dreams for their future. She knew it wouldn't be easy. She had a long road ahead. But she was done letting fear control her. She was going to find a job, find a way to make a life for her and her child. She would be strong. She would build a home filled with love, not fear. She looked out the window at the snow falling softly. It felt like a promise, a fresh start, a clean slate. Lily whispered to the baby, we're going to be okay. I promise. And for the first time in a long time, she believed it. The days passed quickly. Lily started to feel like she was really part of Mrs. Harper's family. She woke up every morning with a new hope in her heart. One morning, Mrs. Harper handed her a small envelope. Lily, she said softly, I found a job for you at the library. Just a few hours each day, but it's a start. Lily's eyes widened. The library? Really? Mrs. Harper nodded. They need someone to help shelve books and keep things organized. I thought of you right away. Tears filled Lily's eyes. She had never had a real job before, but she was ready to try. Thank you, she whispered. Emma gave her a hug. You're going to do great, Lily. I'm so proud of you. The next day, Lily walked to the library, her heart beating fast. She wore a simple dress and tied her hair back. She felt nervous, but also excited. The library was warm and quiet, filled with the soft rustle of pages and the smell of old books. The librarian, a kind woman named Mrs. Green, showed her around. You'll be helping me sort books and keep the shelves neat, Mrs. Green explained. You'll be surprised how calming it is to work here. Lily nodded and started right away. She loved the feeling of the books in her hands, the quiet of the library. She felt safe. Every afternoon, she would come home to Emma and Mrs. Harper. They would share stories about their day over cups of hot tea. The house felt filled with love and laughter. As the days turned into weeks, Lily's belly grew rounder. She felt the baby move, tiny flutters like a butterfly's wings. She would rest her hands on her stomach and smile. One evening, she sat by the fire and wrote in her notebook. "I used to think my life was over," she wrote. "But every day, I see how much strength I have inside me. I'm not just a girl who was hurt. I'm a mother. I'm a fighter." Emma sat beside her and read over her shoulder. "That's beautiful, Lily," she said softly. Lily closed the notebook and looked at Emma. "I think I'm ready to tell my story," she said. "Not just to write it down, but to speak it out loud." Emma squeezed her hand. "Whenever you're ready, I'm here for you." The next Sunday, Lily went to church again. After the service, she asked to speak to the pastor. In a small room with soft light and kind eyes watching her, Lily shared everything. She talked about Kevin and the pain he caused her. She talked about her fears and her baby. She let the tears flow, but she didn't feel weak. She felt free. The pastor listened quietly and took her hands. "You are brave, Lily," he said. "You are not defined by what was done to you. You are defined by your strength and your love." Lily left the church feeling lighter. She wasn't hiding anymore. The baby was coming soon. She could feel it. She was scared, but she was also filled with hope. One snowy morning, she woke up with pains in her belly. Mrs. Harper called the doctor, and Emma held her hand. "It's time," Emma said with a gentle smile. At the small hospital, Lily breathed through the pain, her hands gripping Emma's tightly. She thought of everything she had been through, every tear, every heartbreak. She let it all go with each breath. When she finally heard the baby's cry, she felt her heart burst with love. The nurse placed a tiny, perfect baby in her arms. "It's a girl," the nurse said softly. Lily looked at her baby's face, pink and soft. She had never seen anything so beautiful. She whispered, "You're my miracle. My reason to fight." The baby opened her eyes and looked at her. In that moment, Lily knew she would do anything to protect her. When they came home, the house felt different. It was still small, still simple, but it was full of laughter and life. Mrs. Harper and Emma helped her every day, holding the baby and singing lullabies. Lily sat by the fire one night, the baby asleep in her arms. She looked out the window at the snow falling gently. She thought of her past, the pain, the betrayal. It would always be part of her. But it didn't control her anymore. She whispered to her baby, "We're going to build a life together. A life filled with love and hope." And she believed it with all her heart.
Thank you for listening to this story, my dear ones. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Grandma's Tales. Like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us where you're listening from. I love hearing from each and every one of you. Until we meet again in another story, stay strong, stay kind, and remember, you are never alone.